Here we go again. Could seem like a lot, but if you think you don't have mice or even rats in your house, the chances are you're kidding yourself. We're just extremely good at catching them. I've come to a nearby town today for a reason that's so boring I can't bring myself to tell you. But whilst I'm here I thought I'd do a little bit of filming. We've gone through here before in the car, but since I'm here on foot I thought I'd take in some of the sights for you. As you can see, I'm at the coast and this is a harbour, boat mooring, and you can see some, I guess, private boats, pleasure boats moored up here, but this is also a working harbour, and so to my left, all along here and further along as well are fishing vessels, and just down on the little mini beach here some swans. Australia's known for its black swans, got these lovely red beaks. There's a fish market here, and also some of the boats sell fish directly. Can you see all the little fish? Some fish and crabs and mussels. There's a clamshell down there. Don't know if you'll be able to pick it up. Right. There it is. I think it's a clamshell. Don't know. Oh, there's a crab. Hang on. Oh, there it is. Yeah. You see that? It's a lovely warm day. It's only about 11 and it's probably already in about the 20s. So I imagine these shallows are lovely and warm. And that's why there's so many fry. Okay. Here comes a gull. I think it's more interested in me. Sorry friend, no food for you. There are also a few restaurants. I assume they specialise in fish. I wouldn't know. Well, this one here is a houseboat. It was for sale recently. I tried to encourage my parents to think about buying it, but I don't think it was for them. Essentially this is quite a safe, protected harbour. In front of me is a beach and some trees, and then the other side of that is a gigantic beach, and then the other side of that's the sea. So there's a little inlet further this way. So I think this is a relatively sheltered, safe space, hence all boats. It's also possible to do pleasure cruises along what is essentially a lake system. Saltwater lake, I guess. I've done one. It's really good fun. I'm totally hopeless when it comes to types of boats, but were I to have one, it would definitely be the sailing boat. I'm not interested in these powery boats like the oligarchs have. And I can see it in my mind's eye. It's got a wooden hull body, and it's sort of nice and shiny and brown, probably like, I don't know, 1920s style, with great big long masts and lovely sails. I can see myself bobbing around nice calm waters on something like that. There are often nice sailing boats like that here, but I'm not seeing so many today. That's another boat you can go on a tour of the lake system on. Boats like that don't interest me at all. I prefer ones with masts and sails. I like the thought of that a lot. Well, I'm heading off home now. I've done what I needed to do. Thought I'd come up here and have a last look at the lake and the water. And some of these boats. I like the shape and style and size of that one, but I'd like it sort of nice and shiny and wooden, not painted. Varnished, I suppose. Don't like that one. Now you're talking. Look at that beauty, and it's for sale. That is what I'm talking about. Maybe a bit too big. Look at this one. Crikey. Not too shabby, huh? For a place you come and do something so boring as I've just done. Lovely, lovely boats. Lovely still waters. Interesting aquatic wildlife. Lovely bench to come and sit down in the shade. I'm not going to go there today, but as I say, over the other side of those trees, it's an amazing beach. As you know, I monitor the weather, and judging by this, it does seem as if autumn has finally arrived. I'm not mad about that. I prefer these cooler temperatures for the sort of work that I do. As it happens, I've just acquired something which is absolutely perfect for this. I thought I'd quickly show you and also give you a few updates on a couple of other things whilst I was at it. I don't know how well you'll be able to see this, but we were in an outdoor workwear shop in a nearby town, and I saw this and I couldn't resist. If you were around in the 90s, you might remember this sort of thing. It's like a sort of lumberjack shirt, but crossed with a coat. Some people call them shackets. I'm not making that up. Anyway, so it's like a really thick padded shirt, so it sort of straddles a coat and a shirt, which in many respects is better for here because it can be pretty cold in the mornings, like literally -1, and by the time you get to the afternoon it's 15. So it can be a giant leap in temperature, and often a great big coat's not that useful. So I've got this fleecy, waterproofy, lumberjacky outdoor shirt coat, which I'm very pleased with. This will really start to come into its own if you think back at those sorts of temperatures, and they're only going to get cooler. So I'm very pleased with this. I've also got a really cool pair of trousers coming, which may even arrive next week, so I look forward to showing you those. Something really a bit different. Kind of finished most of my chores for today, which surprise surprise did involve quite a lot of moving wood around, and actually I've got the chainsaw to sharpen in a bit. But I thought that since I've got this sort of spare block of time, I'd just give you a few updates on things, starting with the solar system. You might remember that we had problems with the inverter cutting power to the house, and that problem was fixed by cleaning out the air vents on the side, the air filters, or at least it seems to have been fixed by doing that. And then I noticed there seemed to be a bit of a problem between the battery and the inverter displaying different amounts of charge. So by this point I had sort of lost a little bit of faith in the installers. So I actually reached out to the inverter manufacturer directly, and they were really, really helpful. And what eventuated from that is that essentially we reprogrammed some aspects of the inverter which weren't quite set up properly. That does seem to have made some difference, although I'm not entirely sure it's made as much difference as I would like. But I gather that these things can actually be quite complicated, and the way electricity works is quite complicated, and the way that batteries, like our lithium ion battery discharge, is quite complicated. So it's not like it sort of goes from full and then it goes in a straight line to empty. It sort of empties quite quickly, flattens out for the mid part, and then empties quite quickly right at the end. So it's more of an S shape. So there's quite a lot for me to get my head around, but I think I'm getting there, and that's very good, because obviously we are totally and solely reliant on this for all of our mains electricity. The other piece of news relates to my washing machine situation. You can't necessarily see this to scale, but this is a very, very, very small twin tub washing machine that I've been using for a very long time. It's actually a camping washing machine, and it was supposed to be a temporary fix, but it became semi-permanent. And you know, it's fine, it does all right. It's a very, very, very small though, so like I couldn't wash a whole set of bedding in there, and I certainly couldn't fit a whole set of bedding in the drying spin dry section. So it was a bit suboptimal. It did the job, and I'm certainly not going to get rid of it because I know that it works. And we did temporarily have a top-loading washing machine that we inherited second hand, but unfortunately we just couldn't get that to work for us. So just this week, this beaut arrived. Now this was a joint Christmas present from myself to myself, and with additional contributions from my parents and my nan, and it's wonderful. I've used it a few times already. I can't go too much to town with it because it's very rainy and cloudy, as you saw from the weather, so I can't really dry clothes outside, so I can't do too much. I've only got a small indoor dryer, but it's wonderful. There is one final component to do with this. We had hot and cold taps installed. This machine takes both hot and cold water. It doesn't just have a cold water inlet. There are some advantages to that in terms of using less electricity. But we don't currently have an ability to send the water that it drains into our outlet pipe. So we've hooked up this temporary measure using some pipe we had lying around, which empties into the gutter. But hopefully we'll have the plumber out who did the taps for us to properly connect this so that it drains properly, and you don't have to leap over this pipe every time you want to walk to this part of the garden. But I'm so happy with that. Whilst I'm out and about, I thought I'd just quickly show you the Chinese pistachio, still standing, and I don't know if you can see, probably yes, starting to display some of its autumn colour at the lower leaves. Still very bright green at the top, so maybe the colour will work its way up, but hasn't been munched yet, hasn't died yet. whilst I'm on that theme, this is our red oak, Quercus rubus. So cool because it changes colour in autumn. The leaves will go a lovely red, and it's starting that transition. I'm sure you can see the edges of the leaves, the fringes of the leaves are turning that lovely red colour. This leaf's quite advanced in that respect. I'll stop here actually. This is a tree that is now coming up for its second autumn. This is called a liquid amber, and as you can see, this is also starting to show its autumn colours, particularly at the bottom. It seems to be a bit like the Chinese pistachio in that it's going autumn from the bottom up. This is still a very small tree. Let me try and get some of that out of the way so you can see it better. This is still a very small tree, but since we've had it, it has probably at least doubled in size. And I know that trees can take a couple of years to settle in, and then they'll really start going for it. So this one hopefully will start making that transition in the future. As you can possibly tell, I'm an absolute sucker for autumn colour. I want to introduce it subtly though onto the property, because I don't want to totally change the nature of it. This is possibly the crowning glory though. This is called a claret ash. So it's, as you might imagine, it's an ash tree, but in autumn it goes this amazing burgundy red colour, or I suppose I should say Bordeaux red colour, being that it's claret. Anyway, it's just starting to turn this really deep, rich colour. Can you see that? It's just so beautiful. I mean, I know it's a gloomy, rainy, overcast day today, and it would look so much better in the sun, but isn't that stunning? This is one of the most mature trees that I've been able to buy. Like, it wasn't by any sense mature, but I can normally only really afford to buy very little trees. But I splashed out for this one because I knew this would be quite a challenging environment for it, so I wanted to have a bit of a head start, and as I say, should get going in the next couple of years. I planted this in the spring, and you can see it's got this gigantic cage around it because I spent so much money on this tree. I really didn't want it to get munched. So yes, this is its first autumn, and maybe next year it won't do terribly too well either, but I imagine the year after that it'll go mad. Aside from the autumn colour, one of the other reasons I chose this tree is because I was specifically looking for fast growing trees, and this tree sort of stopped there, and it's put on this much in height in this growing season, which really has only been very, very, very late spring. It came into life as all ash do, they're very late bloomers. And it's had summer, and now it's, you know, entering its dormant phase, so it's only really been growing for maybe 4 months, and that's what it put on, and that's what I want. You know, Will and I aren't getting any younger, so I want trees that are going to make a lot of impact pretty quickly. But I'm loving this. I'm loving this claret ash. I really, really, really hope it survives and thrives. I'm just heading back up to the house now to do that work on the chainsaw. They actually both need sharpening, and I've got some kindling I need to bring up to the house, but I'm in my new shacket. I'm nice and cozy. Oh yeah, that's right, also I've got some sewing to do when I get back to the house. I don't know if you'll be able to see. Got this hole in my shirt. The trees here are vicious. That's just from picking up lumps of wood and moving them around. But my clothes are covered in rips, so they're also covered in stitching. But I'd rather fix it than buy a new shirt just because it's got a rip in it. I mean, who cares? This is not Paris Fashion Week. Obviously I like to not have clothes covering rips when I'm not on the property, but when I'm on the property, couldn't care less. Anyway, I know this has been a bit of a weird vlog this week. It's funny how things work out. Started off quite cool with the trip to the seaside, but it's been a bit weird ever since then. I hope you're having a good week, and I hope that you have a really nice weekend. I know for those of you in the Northern Hemisphere, spring has sprung, clocks have changed. I actually like this miserable, gloomy autumnal weather, so I'm quite happy about the way the seasons have changed for us too. But if you like the hot weather and you like the longer days, I hope you're enjoying things at the moment. And I hope and look forward to seeing you next week. Bye.